Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get the microphone organized here. I am jumping on here live to get rolling. Hello, everybody. It is amazing to be here with you today. My volume seems a little loud. Here we go. There we go. It's amazing to be here with you today. I'm very excited. Friday. It's a beautiful Friday here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we have some awesome questions to dive into today in the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle Q&A session. We had some really good ones. Really good ones. So 4 phenomenal questions. And of course, if you're watching this live, please join us. And if you have any questions at all or want to go deeper on any of the subjects, just put it in the comment section. They do pop up here in my feed, so that would be awesome. So if you have any of that stuff, please do let me know. And without any further ado, we're going to jump into it, you guys. We're going to jump into the very first question that we got from Miss Sylvia here. But just before we do that, a couple of housekeeping notes. We are going to be adding some really cool elements come the end of September into October into the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle Facebook group. So these are just some more added trainings and added courses, that type of thing, as we're going to be ramping up the amount of material that we give you guys here in the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle. Plus, we have a whole new series of interviews starting near the end of this month and going through October and November as well. So these are phenomenal people that we've sought out. These are experts in different fields, all related to do with business and growing your business. So we've found them. We're bringing them into the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle Facebook group for you so that you get to know them, get to find out what they're all about, and glean from their mistakes. As the great Alex Hormozy said, his job is to share value and do these trainings so that in the end, you can learn from what he's had an experience without having to bear the same scars as he has. I think it's a beautiful way of putting it. So without further ado, let's go to, let's see, who is our first one? Peter actually is our first question here. And we're going to go to Peter, then Diane, then Mark, then Sylvia. Okay, so Peter's question. Here we go. Peter says, any suggestions on freeing up more of my time? Okay, so Peter is a guy that I was on a Compass call with late last week. I think it was Friday of last week. Yeah. So Friday of last week. And he was talking to me about how, he's busy. He's not sure how he's going to do some of the content stuff that we're helping him with. And I gave him a process because he's like, I need to free up more of my time. Do you have any suggestions? And so I gave him a process called, it's the ATEM process, ATE apostrophe EM, ATEM. So what does that really mean? Well, whenever I have a list of things, I'll bet right now you've got a list of to-dos, right? You've got a list of stuff that you're supposed to take care of. So whenever I've got a list, I write out the list, write out the list. And then what I do is I essentially start putting that list into 4 categories. Okay. The categories are I must do. So these are things that are critical for my business that I have to take control of, that I've got to do to make sure we have the results we're looking for. These are things, and then there's the 3 ATEM categories: delegate, automate, or eliminate. And so I put it into 4 boxes. Okay, so 4 boxes. And all the ones that I have to do, they go in the top left. These are the first things. These are my number 1 priorities. So for my pet business, for example, these are things like marketing direction, right? Hiring staff. Like these are all these little items that I have to take care of. These are things that I want to continue to steer for my company that I need to do. Then the next section on the top right. Okay, so if you've got your 4 grids like this, okay, so top left, or if you're watching this left for you, anyway, it doesn't matter. Top left is what you need to do. Then the top right is things that you can delegate. So these are things that are on your plate, but ultimately, maybe you just don't like to do them, but they need to get done, and it needs to be a human being doing them. So you can delegate those things. All right. These are things For example, this popped up yesterday in my store. We have a leaky pipe from the sink in daycare. So I've got a guy coming in today. He's not a plumber, but he's a good buddy of mine. I've got him popping in, and he's going to fix the plumbing. Could I go fix it? Yeah, I could go fix it. I could. But the fact is it's easier and more effective for my time to delegate that task and continue to evolve my business forward, continue to do the things that are big needle movers for me. Yes, I could go and do the plumbing thing, but ultimately it's easier and it's great for my buddy if he does it. Okay, so that's one thing. Or so that's one thing to do, is to delegate these things. So you have the stuff you have to do, and the first item is to delegate, right? The next thing to do is, can you automate certain things? So client follow-ups, right? Having a series of steps that clients have to walk through all the time is their way to systemize and automate some of those elements. So the second 8 is automate. Okay. So software tools like the one that we have here in our business called BAMO, right? That's our CRM and marketing software. That does a ton of automation. So the follow up for booking of an appointment, the follow up after a person sends certain forms, all these different client interactions. How much of that stuff could you automate? Sure, it might take you a couple hours to figure out the automation. Sure, it might take you an extra hour or so to figure out all the sequences that need to be done. But in the end, you've invested 2 or 3 hours to gain back over the course of years hundreds of hours of time that you don't need to do those things. You can automate them. So use the power of software to automate some of these critical tasks in your business if they're just being done repeatedly, right? Reminders, those types of things. As much as you can automate, I challenge you, figure out what you can automate from your list of to-dos. Because I'll bet there's a lot more than you might think. Then that's the second 8. The third 8, so now it's the bottom category. So you've got things that you need to do and that are important that you handle in your business. There are things to do that you can delegate to other people. So a human being needs to do this, but people with maybe better skill than you or with the right system can do what you do. Put them into the delegation category, or just tasks that you don't need to get done. You can delegate to somebody else, hire a pro. Okay. Then there's the automation section, which is what parts of your to-do list can you just build once and have it always be happening for you. So use the power of software tools to automate different chunks of your business. And then the last and third item is eliminate. So what of your to-do list do you actually not need to do at all? I did this process. It's called the Eisenhower Matrix. And I've got a thing on YouTube. You can research it. It's an old training that I did, but it's still good. Like, the quality level is not as high as I'd love it to be, but it's still a good training. Anyway, the Eisenhower Matrix is an amazing tool for time prioritization. And what I found was, I was using the matrix, there was all these things that kept falling into the category of, like, don't need to do, not that important. And I realized, okay, I keep writing these things down in my weekly or monthly to-do list. Really, they don't actually need to be on the damn list at all. I could just eliminate them. Are there things in your business right now? And this is what we ran into with Peter. There was 3 different things that we could just eliminate off of his list. Take it off completely. So he had certain meetings that he had every single month. He didn't need to have them at all. Just didn't need to have them. They weren't serving a purpose anymore. They had served a purpose like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when he set them up. They didn't serve a purpose anymore. But he was in the habit of having this particular cluster of meetings every week, or one meeting every week, I should say. And it was like, just eliminate it. It's stressful. You don't need it. So what of your to-do list right now is actually not important? Because then you can put it into the third item category, and that is eliminate. Okay? So once again, to review, if you want to free up some more of your time, like you're feeling overwhelmed by your to-do list, do the item task. 4 categories. Take a piece of paper. Take your to-do list on one side, separate piece of paper, and start taking items and putting them in. Right? I've even done this process for fun with sticky notes on a window. Pieces of tape, like masking tape. I actually use green painter's tape is what I did. And I had my 4 categories, and I put stuff in there. Right? And it was just a fun exercise I did to really help me get out of an overwhelmed state. Just sometimes getting creative helps, right? So the stuff that you have to do that's important, that's critical that you do, the stuff that you can delegate to other people that needs to be done by a human, but you can delegate to somebody else, the stuff that you can automate by software and systemization, and then the stuff that you can absolutely eliminate because it's just not really that important at all. So my answer to Peter's question was, let's take a look at your schedule and figure out, and the to-do list that you've got, why you're feeling so overwhelmed, how you can free up some more time and space, and just start to isolate those things. Other little quick pro tip, if you want to find more time before we get to question number 2 here, is stop checking your email all the time and your messages all the time. I chunk those things down. I have very specific periods of time. There's a 30-minute window twice per day where I check my email. And that helped me tremendously, not having to keep jumping back into email and checking messages and getting distracted. Okay? So that's another little pro tip. Okay. Let's go to any questions from the audience on that particular thing. We do have some people watching here live, so hello to you. Hello. And if you're watching here live, if you have any questions, please let me know, because I will happily dive into those questions for you. I'm going to pull this up here. There we go. So if you have any questions, as I said, feel free to fire them over to me, and would love to answer them for you if you have any questions on that. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Diane. So Diane says, are ads worth it? And how much should I spend on them? Okay. So here's the real key. Are ads worth it? Yes. The question is, how much should you spend on them? Because that becomes the tricky part. And how much should you spend is entirely based on what the ads are producing. So here's how I like to run ads, Diane, and anybody else who's watching, because ads are important. I had a conversation with a client earlier this week, and we were talking about, she's a little ad shy. And Caitlin and I were discussing the fact that it's not the ads that didn't work for her, right? They ran ads. They got a pretty decent result. Actually, they were getting like $35 for a lead. That's not bad, to be honest. But their after system was terrible, right? So they didn't have a good system to follow up afterwards. And so because they didn't have a good system to follow up afterwards, they were running into all sorts of struggles and problems and stuff like that. So the fact is your ads will work, but they're not going to work as well as you want them to if you don't have good structure around the ads. So they decided just to keep doing it, hoofing it, doing all their stuff manually, physically, like texting and reaching out to people and that type of thing, and messaging and working their warm audience rather than do the ads. And I said, okay, to get the results of your company. So if you're here right now, and if you want to build a $500,000 annual revenue company and you're not there yet, let's say you're at 100,000, you're going to have to invest resources to get to that next level. Do you and I agree on that? You're going to have to invest resources. The 2 resources that you have are time and money. And quite often, you're having to invest a hybrid of both. But I'll tell you right now, the wealthy people on the planet, I'll bet you know which one they invest. They invest their money because they want speed to result. That's what they want. They know that time is a limited resource. So are ads worth it, according to Diane's question? Yes, they are worth it. The same as I said to my other client, Caitlin, about this. They're worth it for sure. But you have to do them right. You have to do them right. And so in order to do ads correctly, you need to have a couple things surrounding the ads. Okay? So first of all, you need to have more than one. Don't test with one ad and hope that it works. You don't have a big enough sample size. I like to test with 4 to 10 different ad variations and just put small amounts, 10 to 30 bucks maybe a day per ad. Or if you have 10, just run 10 bucks per day per ad, just to see which one starts to percolate. If you've got more cash than that, spend 100, whatever it is that you want to spend per day, because you want to see which one of these ads is going to get some traction. And you want to find out within a week to 10 days which one of these ads is going to get traction. Let me ask you, if you're selling a $1,000 item, okay, and your margin on that item is, we'll just say it's 50%. So you make $500 when you sell a $1,000 item. If you could get a sale for $130, $150, let's say $150. So now you make $350. You spend $150 on an ad to get the sale. How many sales would you buy with your ads? You'd keep going, wouldn't you? You'd just keep going. If $150 turned into $1,000 in revenue and $350 in profit, you'd just keep going. Okay? So ads are worth it, Diane. How much you should spend on them? You have to spend money to figure out which one of your ads is going to work. Which one of your 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different versions of your ads, the copy, the video, the image, whatever it is, which one of these works? And then once you find the one that works, once you go, oh my gosh, this one, when I spend $150, it turns into $1,000. That's when you turn the other ads off and you push into that one. When you have a winner after a week to 10 days of testing, that's when you push in. So how much should you spend, Diane? You spend as much as you possibly can to keep producing results. That's the key. There are ads, for example, that in my pet business, I can't run right now. I can't run them. They're too good. They're actually too good. And it took me a couple different iterations, but the ad is too good. And I'll tell you what the ad is. The ad is a half price dog grooming coupon. And I only give 50 of them away. I turn the ad on. 2 days later, I have 50 half price dog grooming coupons taken. And maybe it'll cost me 50 or $100 in ads. But here's the thing. My grooming is so busy. My salon is so packed that it's limited by labor and time. It's no longer limited by money. And that's where you want to get to in your business. You want to get to a spot where the limitation on your company is your human capital, is your time capital, not your money. That's where you want to get to with your marketing. I'll say that one more time because it's maybe one of the most important things you ever hear. Great marketing puts you in a situation where the challenge you wind up running into is a human resources and a time resources challenge, not a capital challenge, not a money challenge. In other words, if every time you spend $150, you get $1,000 sale and you make $350, you're just going to keep spending the $150 as fast as you can to keep making the cash back, right? It's an engine. So the thing that limits your engine now is the actual engine itself. Like, what are the RPMs of this vehicle capable of? Because we have as much gasoline as we ever need. And that's where you want your great ads to get. So how much should you spend on them? As much as you possibly can until you hit your human resource limit. That's my answer to Diane's question. Yes, they're worth it, but you have to do them properly. You got to build several variations. You got to test those variations. You got to give them a week to 10 days to 2 weeks of a timeline to test them, see which one works. And then you have to have great follow-up and great sales processes after the ads to make sure that you actually get the results you're looking for. Because way too many people go, I spent $1,000 on ads and got no sales. Well, maybe you got 15 leads and your selling sucks. You're shitty at sales. And so out of your 15 leads, you got one sale for $750. So now you say your $1,000 in ads doesn't work because you lost $250. You lost $250 because your sales sucks. The ad was pretty good. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. Let's jump over to Mark's question here. And so Mark and I also met Mark in a couples call on Friday, actually. And I made the mistake of being cursed by knowledge. You ever had that mistake? Where you're speaking like nerdy industry language for you, and the person who you're talking to or who you're pitching to, they got that blank look on their face, like, right? And I realized, I was like, is everything okay? And Mark says, you've been using this term ideal client for the last like 15, 20 minutes. I actually don't have any idea what you're talking about. So going back to the basics, what is an ideal client? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that every business has an ideal or perfect client that their business and their offers work really well for. It does not mean you can't sell to almost anybody and everybody what it is you do. Okay. I'm in, one of my companies is in the pet business. Okay. My marketing company, we cater to small businesses. We have businesses that we work much better with than others. We have an ideal client. In the pet business, right? We have an ideal client. It's not that we can't sell dog grooming to somebody who's 23 years old and bringing their, you know, their doodle into us. That's great. But the fact is I don't market to the 23-year-old with the doodle. I market to the 53-year-old with the doodle. She is our ideal client. In fact, we call her Margaret. All of our marketing, especially surrounding our dog grooming, in the Just About Pets pet business, that what I've got here, is all geared towards Margaret. Why is that? Because she is our ideal client. Okay? She has more money than the 23-year-old. She has more interest she's probably an empty nester, so she's got more interest in having her dog look and feel amazing. She's got more opportunity to bring the dog in more frequently. She's more interested in the like the raw food products and stuff like that we sell because they're on the higher end, they're more expensive. These are all things that we chose to have Margaret. And actually, we didn't choose this. Margaret chose us. Like when I did polls and stuff like that several years ago, when I understood the ideal client process, what resoundingly came back to me was that the client that does the most business with us were all Margarets. Early 50s, has a dog that needs lots of grooming, is open to the idea of alternative medicine, raw foods, that type of thing. That was Margaret. She drives a high-end, probably German SUV. Right? This is Margaret. So it wasn't that we don't sell to everybody. It was that our ideal client was Margaret. So when talking to Mark, Mark was he's in the real estate industry, and so he was focused on just selling to anybody. I was like, that's fine, but you can't market to anybody. Because the 33-year-old dad who's buying his first home needs very different things than the 62-year-old grandfather who's downsizing. They need different things. Could you make a real estate sale to each one? Absolutely you can, but you can't market to each one. So having an ideal client, Mark, allows you to zero in and hone in on your messaging and hone in on your branding and start to narrow down what you want your offer to be about as well. Because the great real estate agents out there, they tailor their offer to the client. Like there's specific things. They know specific things about an area that makes them more suited for that client. They know they're more well-versed in all the needs of that particular person, right? So they can make a better offer than a real estate agent who's like, I sell houses. I buy houses. Make sense? And the other thing that an ideal client allows you to do is because you can get so specific on what you're offering, you can normally charge more for it. The more specialized you get with who your ideal client is and who you're offering to, the more expensive, the more prestigious, the more narrowed down and tighter you can make your product offering, and the more valuable it becomes because it's tailored specifically to that ideal client. So if you want to know how to make an ideal client, how to put one together, we have a really cool little workbook called the 8 Key Questions to Knowing Your Ideal Client. Just send me a message. I'll put it in. I'll send it over to you. It's just free. I'll give it to you. It's fine. No problem at all. So if you love that, just message me here on YouTube or message me on Facebook. That would be no problem. But that's why you have an ideal client. Okay. And if you're in the private Facebook group, I believe in the file section, I've already uploaded the 8 Key Questions to Knowing Your Ideal Client. So I believe it's in the file section here if you want that. So does anybody have any questions about ideal client at all? And why it's important and what I actually mean by the term. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's see. Greens from Saskatchewan. Oh, great show. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think that's my buddy Glenn chiming in from Saskatchewan, I'll bet. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Glenn, he has an ideal client. Glenn's done this work. He's with his artwork business that's really taken off. He has an ideal client, right? He narrowed it down. He sells great art. Now, he can sell artwork to anybody. Glenn's a perfect example. He can sell artwork to other people, but he narrowed down his audience to being specifically to real estate agents, right? And providing this wonderful, beautiful keepsake piece of art for the people that are selling homes with the real estate agents. And guess what? Glenn's business took off, right? He actually said to me, what, maybe a month ago, Glenn, you're like, I got more clients than I know what to do with right now. I can't take a whole lot more. So wouldn't that be a great feeling to have, right? Yes, and even knowing your ideal client, it still takes work. Absolutely, you still got to do the work. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so any other questions, you guys, regarding ideal client stuff from our question from Mark earlier here? Any other questions? And I have to feel bad because I mean, Mark literally was looking at me like I had grown a second head. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I genuinely don't know what you mean by an ideal client. And so it's good. We talked about it, figured it out. Never be afraid to ask what you feel might be a stupid question when those of us are nerding out and using terminology that you don't get. Okay. Let's jump to our fourth question then that we had in our inbox, which was from Sylvia. So Sylvia said that her best leads, and she sent me this by email, you guys. So she said that her best leads are from word of mouth. Any tips on getting more leads that way? Okay, so yes, I do have some tips. In fact, I've got 3 things that you should do, Sylvia, to help with word of mouth marketing. So 3 things that you should do. And word of mouth marketing, you guys, is the best kind. The best kind. Because you leap, the job of marketing is to create trust, right? There's a bridge. Prospect, lead, client, like potential client over here, your business over here, right? Their transformational experience, what they want to accomplish over here. Marketing is the bridge. It's the bridge, right? It is this bridge that connects these 2 places. That's a terrible analogy. Get rid of the pen. But it's a bridge, okay? So marketing is the bridge of trust that you build from a lead who may not know you at all, cold lead, over to wanting to buy from you, right? This is why I'm a big believer in content and why I had to be converted into a big believer in content because I wasn't using it at all in my marketing. And now I use it a lot. We had over almost 50,000 views on our stuff in the last 2 months. And that might seem like a crazy amount to you. It might seem like nothing to you. For me, having gone from basically 0 and not doing much content at all to doing content every day and hitting 50,000 was a big leap for me. So I'm very proud of that, but it's helped bridge the trust gap for a lot of people that were like, I'd heard your name. Now I've watched your videos a number of times. Now I want to do business with you. Now let's talk, right? Or I had no idea who you were, love your stuff, and now we're having conversations about whether or not they want to do business with us. All of that is happening because I'm bridging the trust gap. That's what marketing is supposed to do. When you use word of mouth marketing, you get a huge leap all the way over the bridge. You'd leap the bridge almost to the point of sale because somebody says, oh my goodness, I really, really, really need this, some sort of cool piece of artwork for my husband's office. If somebody recommends my buddy Glenn, they leap the trust barrier. They don't have to go find Glenn. If somebody says, oh my gosh, I really need a great place to go get my dog groomed, and their neighbor says, hey, take him to Just About Pets, my company, right? One of them. Big trust gap leap. They jump the bridge. So the fact of the matter is word of mouth is really, really important. So how do you get it? First of all, in my businesses, I systemize it. I systemize word of mouth marketing. And you might be asking me, how is that possible? Well, I systemize it in 3 ways. A, now I don't do this in my pet business, but I do it in my marketing business. I ask for referrals. I systematically ask for referrals at a certain stage of progress in my working for their company and with their company. So depending on the product you buy, anywhere from normally 20 days to sort of 65, 70 days into our process together, I ask you for a referral. Do you know any other small business owners that could really use X product? I ask for a referral. It's systemized. It's actually in a grid that when a client goes to that stage, that automatically gets sent over to them. Okay? Systemized. The other way to do it, okay, so that's a direct referral. That is a direct ask. The other way I do it, to answer Sylvia's question, is I ask for reviews / testimonials. And it's the same thing. I systematically ask for a review/testimonial. And it's in similar time frames sometimes, right? Depending on the product. Normally about 50% of the way through delivering something, I ask if they would be open to doing a testimonial and what it's been like to work with our company. And then I'll even ask again, I need to systemize this part. I haven't done this part. I need to systemize this to ask again once they've completed their project with us. I normally ask just in casual conversation, but having it automated in my BAMO system would be better. So the fact is you can systemize those two things, okay? Asking for referrals systematically on automation, put it into your automated sequences in your CRM or whatever you're using, or put it in your scripts that you're using for clients, what you're walking them through. Ask for testimonials halfway through the process with you or after they've completed. In my pet business, we ask for testimonials or reviews, I should say. Reviews, the testimonials or reviews. We ask for reviews once they've completed, I think it's the first service and then 6th or 7th service or something like that. Because you don't want to ask every time, right? So we do that. Now, the third way is a little bit different, okay? Because right now you've got reviews and testimonials. Okay, those two things are kind of one for me, and then referrals. The third way is systematically reviewing your product and making it kick-ass. Okay, that's the third way of driving word of mouth, Sylvia, is have a product so damn good other people want to go out and tell people about it. You ever had one of those experiences, maybe at a restaurant or something like that you went to and it was tremendous? It was amazing. The service was awesome. The food was incredible. The atmosphere was brilliant. The wine was perfectly paired. You probably told somebody about that, right? You probably went out and told somebody about that. You ever have a book that you absolutely loved or a movie that you were enamored by? Make a great product and the word of mouth starts to take care of itself. When you make shitty product, crappy product, or you don't deliver, well, then it works the opposite way. And this is a huge fundamental belief for me. And the third part of really ramping up your word of mouth marketing, have amazing product. You know, my buddy Glenn, who's in Saskatchewan right now, who said hello here with us, this is what he did. Glenn's got a beautiful, gorgeous product. His product is tremendous. He didn't have to do a whole lot more marketing than just be clear as to who he wanted to serve and build a great product, and the product sells itself. Other people are talking about it because it's so good. As the great Steve Martin said, be so good they can't ignore you. Right? So when you want to ramp up your word of mouth marketing, Sylvia, because I agree, it's one of the best, most reliable sort of approach to sales you can have, is you systemize the ask for referrals. You systemize having them talk about you to the public, right, by reviews or testimonials. And you systematically keep going through your product. Every quarter in my companies, I normally do a product review. Right? We only have a few core fundamental products in all my different companies that I run. And we do a review. How is this working? How can we make it better? What can we do to improve it? Every quarter. Because I want to keep getting better. Right? We have one person popped in here and says, so true. I don't know who they are because it just says Facebook user. But yes, so true. Keep reviewing your product. Make it so damn good they can't ignore it. And people will go ahead and talk about it. They'll talk about it all over the place. Okay. So I hope that was helpful today, you guys. I want to say thank you so much for joining me on here. Just a quick review. If looking over here, so any suggestions on freeing up more time? That we got that question from Peter. So I gave you the ATOM process that I do. So you delegate, automate, or eliminate, and jump back to the first part of this live video if you didn't have a chance to watch how I go about doing that and what are some of the keys for that. And then Diane's question here about, are ads worth it? How much should I spend on them? absolutely they can be worth it, Diane. I've used them over and over and over again to really dramatically improve the results in my companies. And as I shared with you in that example, I have ads that are so good that I actually can't turn them on because they've already done their job. They've filled me to the capacity which I got to, because in the end, what an ad's supposed to do is help you go from a money problem in your company to a staff problem in your company, to an hours problem in your company. Hopefully, we can help you with ads get more business than you can actually fulfill, and therefore you have to grow your company. Right? People that grow a company, they think about revenue all the time. Me, growing a company is growing the company. How many people are involved? Right? How much time is being spent in the company every single day? That's growing a company. Okay. Mark, as he asked me what an ideal client was, and we popped into there and what an ideal client is. So an ideal client is normally a single person that you like to market to. As I said, it's all about. I have Margaret, right? Was my ideal client. Oh, somebody popped in and they say, I want that kind of ad. Totally. I don't know who that is. It just keeps saying Facebook user. So put your name in the comment section there, whoever asked that question about that kind of ad. Yes, it's a very powerful ad because I understood who exactly my ideal client was, and I understood the exact type of offer that was going to get them to move. Boom. Once you know those things and you go through a couple of iterations. Oh, Denise. Perfect, Denise. Hello. Hello, Denise. That's the type of thing that can really rock, right? Can really, really rock. So is this Denise from Bold Publishing? Is this Denise from Bold Publishing? Is it? Yeah. So the fact is that you should have ads that are so good that they ultimately turn your business into having a staff problem, not a money problem. And then ideal client, that leads to the ad conversation, right? Knowing exactly who you want to market to makes a big, huge difference in being able to build ads, build any type of marketing, branding, messaging that resonates. And then ultimately it lets you build an offer that actually makes a huge difference. Huge difference to them, right? Yes, Denise Nicholson. Perfect. Thank you, Denise. Yes, well, those types of ads are very powerful, and we'd love to help you with that if you need help. And then finally, our last question here was from Sylvia about word of mouth marketing. We just kind of wrapped up that stuff. So my 3 things that I systemize for word of mouth marketing are direct referrals. So, hey, would you refer my company to somebody else? Systemize that, automate it into your company. And then get them to talk about you publicly, either via testimonial or review. To me, it's kind of the same thing. And then the third part about that was systematically review your product portfolio so that it's really, really good. Don't sell shit. Don't sell garbage. It'll make a big difference. Okay? So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you got great value out of today. It's been my absolute pleasure to be here with you. And so I will see you at 10 a.m. next Friday here in the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle Facebook group and on the YouTube channel. And until then, my friends, go out there, enchant your audience, make some magic happen. You have been awesome. I have been Michael Bridgman. This has been another episode of the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle, and I look forward to seeing you all in the group. Ciao for now.